What's up, makeup minions? I'm Kim Witte from WitteArtistry, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Barbara in her ghostly form in the Séance scene in Beetlejuice, and might I say I look like I belong in a heavy metal band. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, but let's get into the tutorial. Very special shout out to my featured patrons, Bradley Shear and Dantastic. You guys are freaking amazing. Thank you so much for being so supportive of my work. All right, I'm going to be turning into Barbara Maitland from Beetlejuice, the Tim Burton film. That scene where there's like a seance and she gets summoned back from the dead and then fills up her wedding dress and she just looks super sad, super wrinkly, almost like a cartoon mummy. This would be way easier with a antique dress to wear, but I did not have one and I wanted to be COVID safe, so I didn't go looking for one. This it wasn't in the cards. So I'm going to be painting the dress on, which turns out to be very, very involved because her dress has poofs, frills, and a lot of lace, and lace is super complex looking. So I laid down a layer of a slightly blue-gray white all over my face and all over my body. I mapped out the edge of the heart of the lace, the edge of the neck of the lace, and the ruffles on the shoulders. Now with more white, I am going to be creating the designs that I see present on her dress. I took a screenshot of the scene and I'm going to be copying it verbatim as best as I can. My advice, if you're going to paint lace, because you're as crazy as I am, I recommend starting with the middle centerpieces because they're unique, and then mirroring back and forth the left and the right side. Paint one accessory on the left side, then paint one accessory on the right side. If you end up painting one side completely and then trying to mirror it, your brain will just get super confused. Reversing swirling shapes is very difficult. So they have like this flowery swan shapes in the center, and then little tiny flowers, and then these fluting S shapes all over the dress, and then little flower shapes just in between everything. I highly recommend using a detail brush for this and being super patient. This is very, very tedious, and I really recommend just using a dress. It might not be the exact same dress from the scene, but if you want to save yourself a lot of time and be a lot more warm for Halloween, I recommend it, and just spending your time doing the facial makeup. But it was a really cool experience to practice painting lace before, as it was something I had never tried. And it's transparent, but it still has, you know, a little bit of volume to it to change this color of your skin. Now I am using that white to create the high points for the future ruffles of the shirt, or of the arms. And I did little stippled lines around the neckline, the heart line, and the edges where the shoulder poofs meet the dress, just to map out the edge of the stitches on the dress. Now we're moving on to the face. So her face is super exaggerated, looks like an old mummy, kind of like mixed with like a rotting pumpkin, but it's all white. So I'm mapping out the wrinkles just with white. She has very sad eyes, so keep that in mind. So the shapes around her eyes are going downward and outward. And then her lips meet together, they're super wrinkly. And now I'm using a gray body paint to go underneath all those white lines. So basically the plan here is to create a highlight with the white, and then create a shadow with the gray, and then blend it out later, and then add a little bit more highlight and a little bit more shadow just to create more realism. She does have a butt chin, so add a little dot there, and she has a jowly face. I am looking at a reference image this entire time. I am not making any of this up. I'm just trying to copy the sculpture of the prosthetic as closely as possible. By the way, what is your favorite Tim Burton movie? Beetlejuice is definitely up there for me, but oh man, I don't even know which one my favorite would be. To have to think about it. I can't be put on the spot like this, guys. Do the neck with the same wrinkles, and now I'm going to be adding definition to the dress. So with that gray, I am outlining the edges of where the shoulder poofs are, and then blending it out a bit. And then along each of the seams, I'm going to create a layer of gray, because if you look really closely at a white dress, there is a little bit of a cast shadow from the seams. Outline the edges of the lace on the heart, because the heart is actually a open part that reveals her chest. So outline the edges of that, outline the edges on the top of the neck, and now I'm outlining the undersides of the lace to give it some shadow, and then blending that down onto the chest so it creates a little bit of a drop shadow, so it's convincing that it's a worn garment instead of it just being painted on the skin. blend out some of the wrinkles on the neck. And now I'm adding more white into the face. So there was a lot of gaps in between the shadows and the highlights. So I'm adding a little bit of a gray white into all the areas and then blending all of the shading together to create the wrinkles. Take your time with this. The wrinkles do take a little bit, but they're not nearly as complicated as the lace. So I'd say if you wanted to do as realistic and as detailed of a facial makeup as I did, but you had a costume, this would be probably a 2.5 hour makeup. But if you could do it way more simple, if you don't want to be super extreme. All right, with black, I'm outlining my eyeballs and the edges of the lace to create more of a drop shadow again. And then she has super sunken eyes, so I'll be doing that later. Blend down the gray onto the chest again to create the drop shadow. This was a huge learning process for me, so I was very much figuring out as I went for the dress and for the wrinkles. Like, painting in grayscale is harder than you would think it is. Blend down the dark gray into the eye sockets around the wrinkles. Add some black into the wrinkles as well. I ended up changing the texture I was forming around her lower eyelids because it was kind of wrong. It looked more like a lizard than the wrinkly mummified person. Add black into the edge of the mouth and the bottom of the jowls. Give it some more depth. I hope you guys are enjoying your October so far. Do you have any like exciting Halloween plans, or are you going to the pumpkin patch? You do carve pumpkins. I know COVID's got everybody down a little bit for this year, but we can still have fun. Like, carve the pumpkins, watch all the scary movies, bake with your loved ones. All right, I created some the nose with black. I'm adding more shadow into the wrinkles on the neck and blending them out. Just blending out all the black to create the depth. Now I'm adding stippling with white over the lace because I realized very quickly that I should have added highlights onto my skin where the dress is transparent and then painted the lace after, because obviously lace is kind of see-through. Going back in with darks again on the face. Going over the lips. I will be filling in the lips soon, but I do leave my eyes and lips for last whenever I'm using body paint, so I can drink water and itch my eye and also not have the paint crack on my eyelids. Cover my lip with white and then black in between for the wrinkles. Don't forget your ears as well. I just added white and gray. Cover your eyelids. Add more wrinkles to the nose. I'll be darkening up the eye sockets a little bit. And then I decided to add white stippling on top of the lace again. Then I had to fix the lace a little bit. Here's me fixing the lace designs. Like I said, it would be much better if you just painted the dress lighter and then put lace on top of it. Add dark eyeshadow to the eye sockets to give them more depth, but also to prevent cracking off of the eyelids. It's a really nice technique when you use powder makeup on top of body paint. It keeps the body paint from cracking. Then with my BH Cosmetics 120 color eyeshadow palette, I'm going to use gray eyeshadow to enhance the contouring under the jowls and under the cheeks to make it look more dimensional, and then up in the temples to make it look more sunken. Now, one thing I was super bummed about is I didn't have a huge curly wig at my disposal to turn into Barbara, which made me sad. So I am going to end up using my regular hair. There's nothing I can do. My hair does not hold curls, so I just ended up keeping the blonde and making it a little bit white to make it more undead. It would have been more recognizable as Barbara with the big wig, but what are you gonna do? I didn't have one, sorry guys. So I'm adding my final highlights to the wrinkles, just with pure white. Getting my ears, and we're almost done. Don't forget to dance, that's important. Highlight the puffs on the shoulders. This is a super old school dress. It's got the big puffy shoulders that cover the whole arms. It was hard to get screenshots that were good of this character, to be honest, and you have to make it grayscale. It is grayscale, I promise. Even though the scene is green, if you look up the makeup artists and makeup behind the scenes, it is a grayscale makeup. Then add black into the shoulder puffs and blend it out so you have some nice dimension. pull your hair down, I'm gonna be pulling back the top and then putting gray on top of my hair just to make it look older and make me look a little bit more undead and seancey. Ta-da! You are Barbara. I really hope you like this. This was definitely a challenge. I recommend getting a dress, but super creepy look, and you could also modify it to be sort of a zombie for Halloween if you wanted. I love you guys. Peace. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. I appreciate it so much. I hope you guys are staying safe and that my increased content is keeping you happy. This was a challenge. I was not anticipating the lace being this difficult. Normally, under normal circumstances, I would have gone to the store and found some cheap, you know, wedding dress from a Goodwill or something, or gotten lace from a craft store, but Corona times means I can't leave the house or get the wig I wanted, so we made it work. I think it turned out pretty cool anyway. I really like the heart in the middle. But also a huge shout out to my wonderful Patreon producers. Whoa. Thank you so much for continuing to support me during this hard time. It means more than I could ever express. Things are tight, things are crazy. So thank you so much for supporting what I do. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.